One of the biggest problems facing college students and recent graduates is the crippling amount of student loan debt that they have to carry just to be able to attend school. The threat of these debts are keeping millions of high school graduates out of college, but a new proposal from President Obama is aimed to change it a little bit. The problem is it doesn't go nearly far enough. I have TV host David Pakman with me now to talk about that. David, you know, when you first look at Obama's proposal to have a tuition-free junior college, I mean, it's great progress. It's important. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that somebody's stating that education matters. But isn't the bigger picture more of a problem for the average student that's trying to get through college nowadays?
Well, increasingly we have this issue where more and more education is required to increasingly have the same or even inferior jobs than the ones you used to be able to obtain with a junior college or bachelor's degree. So that's definitely a problem. We see this huge burden, this debt burden that so many students are leaving college with. So on the one hand, you constantly are being pushed to acquire more and more education just to kind of stay treading water with the same jobs. And increasingly, you go into those jobs with more education, but also more debt, yet your salary is no higher. And we see disproportionately that the profits from those jobs that people are doing are being concentrated in the 1%. And yes, we have this huge vicious circle going on.
Well, if you take a look at the proposal, it is that we're going to help take care of tuition for 2 years, which is really kind of it's really an extension of what Truman had on his, Truman had come out with this program that said, well, we need to educate people for 14 years, and that's what he was talking about, 2 years of college and see if they can make it beyond there. But isn't part of the problem with college not so much the tuition's a problem, but it's also just living. I mean, it's the cost of where do you physically live? How do you pay for the other cost? How do you lose this opportunity to work without it being a huge cost and a huge difficulty for you? So there's a lot more here when you look at the total cost of education, which leads me to ask the question, does this really change anything?
Well, I think it does in one sense, which is that if we look just at the economic impact of more education, California has really interesting data that shows that there's a huge multiplier effect, something like a 6-to-1 multiplier in terms of dollars spent by the state on furthering education relative to total dollars of economic stimulus. So when you have a more educated population, you do see that there is a higher wage overall. You see economic stimulus because you're stimulating a class of individuals that has a high propensity to consume. They in turn go out and spend money at the local businesses. So the multiplier effect, there's no question that it's there, but I think what you're getting at is a really good point, which is at what total cost in terms of debt, in terms of living expenses? Tuition is just one part of the total cost.
Yeah, I mean, you've got books, you've got supplies, you've got transportation, you've got child care for many of these people, you've got the loss of being able to work a job to even bring income in. Shouldn't we start thinking about this in big picture? In a bigger picture, I guess is what I'm saying is, you don't have to travel far around Europe to understand that they're able to pay for education, and it's very successful because of that. Their technology is advancing. Their manufacturing is advancing. Education's an important part of who we are, and we've abandoned it, it seems like, in the last 14 years. Let me shift here just a second. When you take a look at one of the big issues about college education comes in this Phoenix story, and I think you've covered this before. I've actually seen you talk about this. It's very troublesome. I mean, here you have this Phoenix University, which I don't know how to call it anything but a scam. I mean, if you take a look at the people who drop out, the people who get degrees that don't mean anything, that might be auto repair, massage, paralegal, academic accreditation doesn't even flow to those areas, and they come out without jobs if they finish at all. Tell me your take on that whole kind of competing issue about going to college. GI's being hit by it hard.
Yeah, the for-profit college industry, and that's really what it is. It's not an education field. It's an industry that is designed to make money, is hugely problematic. And I see this pretty similarly to how I see religious private schools that are anti-gay or otherwise discriminate receiving government funding, which is a huge problem. When you see GI Bill money increasingly going to for-profit universities like the University of Phoenix, then you ask University of Phoenix, well, give us some of the data about what are the jobs, how many people are graduating, how many are employed within a year, what salaries are they making? You can't get that information from University of Phoenix. And the fact that on the one hand, we hear that we support our troops and that we value their service and we want to take care of them, and at the same time, GI Bill money is increasingly going to a place like University of Phoenix, which has no transparency whatsoever, and as you alluded to, provides degrees of questionable merit and questionable value. That has to be changed immediately.
Well, so few people even finish the degree. The numbers are pretty staggering. The average taxpayer pays about $50,000 for a student to go through a Phoenix-style program. Now, the bad news is that the number of dropouts are huge. The other end of it, when they come out, they're not able even to get a job to pay, to even make a living, much less pay any other debts that they have in addition to what they might have received through the GI Bill. And so, but it's amazing to me that the veterans associations aren't doing more to say, this is a scam. It's not really helping it's not helping our soldiers coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq, and they're just being hustled by this Phoenix education scam. It has many variations. It's not just Phoenix. I mean, these things are popping up all over the place. Some of them are taking in all this money and then they go bankrupt. So the students pay, 2 years lost. Some of them, there's no accreditation at all. You may as well just study on online internet. And it's kind of a tragedy here.
It is, and this is one area where I actually think, going back to the President Obama community college proposal, that there is an important element that we're maybe not thinking about when it comes to education, which is college is not for everybody. That's just a reality. We would love it if everybody had a college degree. We could talk about the social benefit of more college degrees, but college is not for everybody. And some people won't know that until they try college out. And if you think about someone who goes into community college to say, let me figure out if this is for me, and it's not, and they come out of that with huge debt, that is already going to set them back in their possibilities for life. And that's one area where the Obama plan, I think, is great.
Yeah, well, the numbers are pretty ugly. Less than 50%, according to the U.S. Department of Education, even make it through to where that it really benefits them, and 25% of those people end up defaulting on their debts. So here again, it is where companies get involved, businesses get involved. Instead of doing the right thing, they take advantage of a situation, and that's what Congress has allowed these what I call startup colleges, these private startup colleges to do. And it's a scam, and unfortunately we're not doing enough to stop that scam. David, thank you for joining me, okay?
Thanks for having me.